What's up, my friends? Wistoria Wand and Sword did it again. Episode 11 here. And the worst part about episode 11 is that we only have one episode left with episode number 12, right as things are starting to get going. Wistoria Wand and Sword has been kind of a mixed bag. It depends on what angle and which direction you're looking at the show from, where your enjoyment may skew. I think by and large, though, I think Wistoria has been a success. I don't think it's anywhere near Danmachi. I think it's probably about 2 basis points lower than Danmachi. I think Danmachi is just a much better story that this creator created, but there is a lot of good here within Wistoria. Now, I would say the first probably 6 or 7 episodes were mostly good. There was a lot of really good, really beautiful animation, a lot of stuff. But then the plot line and some of the finer details, the show really wants you to not think about them. And they weren't really fleshed out. Early on, during the beginning episodes of Wistoria, I kind of said that the author has one of those mentalities where they probably didn't know that far ahead. Like, they probably couldn't really see far ahead. They were just kind of creating the story. As you can imagine, somebody creating a manga, submitting an idea, and then kind of as they get serialized, they don't quite know how it's going to end. They don't quite know the next big beat. They're just kind of like creating it as they go. And when that happens, which is totally okay, by the way, I wish I had that kind of mind to be able to create something really cool like that. But what ends up happening is a lot of the things that you begin to think about don't quite have an answer. And it's like, oh, if Alfiria or whatever is up there, why can't she come and help him? Why did she just disappear? These are things that may get answered way down the line, but initially they're just kind of like glossed over to the side because the author's kind of figuring out their way and they're piecing it together week by week by week as they get serialized and everything else. And that's kind of where a lot of plot holes begin to occur. And it's more evident, especially when they get adapted into an anime where you start to ask these questions. And you're like, well, why are we just constantly glazing over this? And they don't really translate too well. Now, this is a very long-winded way to say I'm making my way back to what I was saying. The first 6 or 7 episodes were mostly good. I would put them about a 6.5. I think a 6.5 is more than fair for the first 7 episodes. I think mostly held up by the gorgeous animation and gorgeous art style and just really bombastic battles that it really had. But the core story was, yeah. But what ended up happening, there was like a switch that happened episode 8, 9, 10, and 11, these last 4 episodes, where it began to have like a broader story and things started to really fall in place. And I think once episode 8, 9, 10, and now 11 have happened, I think that it's gone full tilt. It's gone full in on just delivering these awesome battles and these crazy scenes. And it's gone full into trusting your comrades and trusting your peers and the power of friendship and a lot of the very shonen type things that genre tends to lean on. I think that, they've leaned on here. So very shonen, very adventure, very bombastic, very fantasy. I think that that's the things that Wistoria Wand and Sword does very well. And I would put these last 4 episodes, including this one, at about a 9, maybe 8.5. I don't want to go 9. 9 is like a really, really good. I would say about an 8.5 out of 10. And I think that's just really, really good. And this episode, it had Will going over the beast, conquering himself, needing to use, his friends like 𝐒𝐚, frenemies like 𝐒𝐚. Eventually his goggles ended up breaking when he was trying to save one of his classmates. He went and he saved her, and his goggles ended up breaking. These goggles are like what has given him strength. They're from Alfiria. They're from Elfie. And, he needed to use 𝐒𝐚. He told 𝐒𝐚, like, hey, hit me. I'm shaking. He's like, I'm rumbling. I'm shaking. I'm afraid. And 𝐒𝐚 went in. He's like, I can't believe you got us in this situation. We believed in you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, God, thank you. And he went right to it. And then Colette breaks out into this monologue of how Will's always scared. And unlike us wizards that have to use our wands and we can be far away from the enemy. Will's different. He has no power. He has to get up in their face at the most dangerous position that you can ever imagine yourself, with an enemy who could vastly be stronger than you. He has to be right up front to do anything. And I think that inspired 𝐶 I think it inspired 𝐒𝐿TE. And then ultimately the episode ended with him, partnering with 𝐶, which again, these two very, very Bakugo Deku vibes here. Like, they're not friends, they're not enemies, or somewhere in between. But he uses his magic and he remembers what Elfie was saying, and his roommate ends up showing up, and for whatever reason, what's his name, Rasta Roy, something like that, I don't know. But his roommate ends up showing up, and then the whole thing of the wand and the sword coming together, because the wand can't beat the monster, the sword can't beat the monster, but together they can. And he uses 𝐶 I's magic, and somehow I guess his sword, it's either his innate ability or his sword ends up absorbing 𝐶 I's magic, and he uses it to cut this monster in half, and poof, big bombastic explosive moment. Of course, there's a lot of other things that ended up occurring in this episode as well too, but I think that really is the crux of what ended up happening. And then now, as we go into next week, it looks like they're going to make it out of this dungeon somehow, but they're going to have conquered this, ridiculous level, dungeon floor level 25 crazy boss monster. It seems with minimal to no casualties, minimal to no damages among themselves, which is really, really cool. So can't wait to see next episode, but man, really great stuff. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, my friends, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.